The Supreme Court debate in the United States has taken another turn, and it's a good one for Donald Trump. All eyes have been on the crucial Senator Mitt Romney, the one-time Republican presidential candidate who voted to impeach the president earlier this year. But Romney has declared that if a Supreme Court nomination is put to the Senate before the election, he will vote on that candidate on merit. In other words, not delay the appointment until after the election. Earlier, the president had promised to put someone forward by this Saturday.
It will be a brilliant person. It will be, I have 5 that we're vetting right now. It'll be a brilliant person. It will be a woman.
Let's take up the politics and the constitutional law with legal academic and columnist with The Spectator Australia, James Allen in Brisbane. Thanks for joining us again, James. There's no constitutional argument here, is there? I mean, the president has the right, in fact, the obligation to nominate a replacement on the Supreme Court. And if you can get it through the Senate, you're done and dusted.
Well, it's happened 29 times, a vacancy in the last year, in the year of the election. Washington did it, Jefferson did it, FDR did it, Obama did it. They've made a nomination 29 times. 19 times it's been in the case where the president's party controls the Senate. So in those 19, 17 have been filled. I think 9 of them were before the election. 3 were in the lame duck and the rest were after. 10 times it's been where the president's party doesn't control the Senate, so divided government. And only 1 of those has gone through. So in a way, 2016 was when you had divided government. Politically, you can't get it through. I think the last time you got it through with divided government was late 1800s. When the president's party controls the Senate, it virtually always goes through.
Yes, I mean, obviously a president's going to put up a nomination, but it all comes down to whether or not you control the Senate. And that's why this argument is so phony at the moment. As you say, Barack Obama tried to get Merrick Garland through in 2016. He couldn't because he didn't control the Senate. Back then, of course, the Republicans were saying you shouldn't appoint someone in an election year. We won't give you the vote. And the Democrats were demanding you should have swift action to have a replacement. They're running the opposite arguments now. But all I hear in the media is that the Republicans are running the opposite argument. Well, the Democrats, too, are running exactly the opposite argument to what they ran in 2016.
Well, Mitch McConnell, the leader of the Republicans in the Senate, actually made 2 arguments in 2016. They're picking up on the one you mentioned, but he also said there's a difference between divided government and not divided government, and this is divided government, and so we're leaving it to the voters in the election. And remember, when he said that, Donald Trump was a big underdog. And what a lot of the press is not mentioning about Ms. Ginsburg, who was actually good friends with Scalia across the divide. Back in July of 2016, she said some very controversial things about then-candidate Trump. The sort of things that if an Australian judge said them, that judge, he or she would be recusing him or herself pretty much in every case. So she was very disparaging about Trump. And when he went on to win, if it had been a comment by a Republican-nominated judge about, say, Mr. Obama, the press would have it on the front page every day. So that sort of died down. She was lucky. But, you know, Ginsburg was just a bog-standard, living constitution, overpowerful judges type judge. And of course, if you're going to spend 50, 60 years making judges ever more powerful, and this has been the sort of tactic of the Democrats, sooner or later, the other side of politics is going to start playing we are going to appoint judges who support us. It's inevitable. You know, something like 25% of Americans pick who the candidate is going to put on the Supreme Court as the most important factor in who they vote for.
Well, I want to come back to that fact. I want to come back to that argument in a moment. But first up, while we're on the Ruth Bader Ginsburg, quite extraordinarily now, as you say, she was very activist, a liberal, very political person in life, an impressive woman. But there's no doubt she was very, very political. But now the Democrats are trying to use her contested arguments from beyond the grave. Have a look at Chuck Schumer.
She said, "My most fervent wish is that I will not be replaced by until a new president is installed." We believe that. So do the American people. Today, a Reuters poll came out and said 62% of Americans agree with her.
There you go. I mean, her deathbed wish, if it's true, doesn't matter at all. She has no role in how her replacement is chosen. But what proof do we have that this was her deathbed wish?
Look, she's been hoisted with her own petard. A lot of Democrats wanted her to step down when Obama was president. He was there for 8 years. Her replacement could easily have been put through. She got overconfident. She thought that Hillary Clinton would win. And basically, this is a position for the U.S. Supreme Court. It is the voters in the United States position. It's not in the dying wishes of the person who had the position before. So she doesn't get to say when her replacement kicks in. This is politics. It's pretty clear, I think, that on balance, this opening probably helps Trump.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And look, I mentioned the other day, of course, it strengthens the law and order aspect of this campaign. It gets the debate onto areas that he wants to talk about. But there's the other aspect that my colleague Greg Sheridan has talked about, and that is what you just referred to. And that is that apart from that general thrust of the debate of conservatism against sort of weak liberals on law and order, Americans will vote very specifically on a candidate because of what they're going to do with Supreme Court appointments, because they understand, of course, just how crucial the Supreme Court is in so many social issues in particular.
Look, in the United States and my native Canada, anywhere with a potent Bill of Rights, if you leave aside economic issues, most of the decisions are made by a handful of unelected ex-lawyer judges. I've spent a career arguing against that. The trends in Australia are not great, but we still don't have that, thank God. But look, if you care, in Australia we have a vote on same-sex marriage. In the United States, they have a vote of 9 judges, 5-4, on abortion, on just about every social policy issue. It's filtered through this vague, amorphous Bill of Rights, and the judges decide. So once you're in that game, then if those sort of things matter to you, of course what matters to you is the sort of candidate the candidate is going to appoint. And what Trump has realized that no conservative realized before that is most of the lawyerly caste is to the left of the voter. And so when you just appoint a judge, you just have to look at Brandis's appointment to the High Court of Australia and the Love decision. I mean, we're relying on the Labour Party to make conservative appointments here. So what Trump realized is if I make a list and I promise to pick someone from the list, that locks you into a sensible appointment because you've publicly put these people out there. And if you put somebody on the list who's not sensible, you'll face a lot of criticism. Trump has picked from the list. He's had Amy Conant on the list for, I don't know, since the beginning, I think. She's got to be the favorite. There's a Hispanic woman who's a good candidate. It's going to be very difficult for the Democrats to go after a good qualified woman the way they did after Kavanaugh.